Hello guys, today I'm going to be bringing you guys a tutorial I was going to bring you guys like 2 weeks ago. I'm sorry about that, I've just been sick. I haven't uploaded in a week. Yeah, I know I was sick before and I got sick again. It wasn't very fun. So anyways, today I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up a VPS or a virtual private server. Now these are very useful for many different things. You can host a website on it, you can host well, web hosting is more for websites, but you can do services on it, you can run scripts on it, you can use servers for many different things. You can even use it for games such as Minecraft, private servers, other game private servers, stuff like that. So the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to get a client, and you're going to need to get a host. Now, I think there are a few free hosts on online, like for VPSs, but they're not very good, and their RAM is not very good. Like nothing about them is very good. So you might want to purchase one. It's up to you and what your purpose for it is, but it's better to purchase one. They're usually monthly prices. You can get some pretty cheap ones, and you can also get DDoS protected ones. So we're going to need a client. I use Putty. It's a very common one, and it's a very nice, simple client for raw connecting, telnetting, SSH, all that kind of stuff. We're going to stick to SSH. We're not going to be doing any telnetting or raw or anything like that. So right under hostname, we're going to put in our IP address for the server. And for the port, now the default port for all VPSs for SSH is port number 22. Now, for me, this is different because depending on your host, some hosts, they may have specified a different port, or you can change the port or whatever. If you guys want to see how to change the port, just leave a comment below. But anyways, I had to change mine because for some reason, port 22 on my server, it timed me out every 2 minutes, and I had to restart the server, and it was extremely annoying. So, I changed my port to 2995. So let's go ahead and click the open button. Now, if your IP address or your port number is wrong, it should give you a connection refused error. If you have it right, it will give you login as. Now, with Linux VPSs, which is what I'm using, just a heads up, I'm using Ubuntu VPS. I personally prefer Ubuntu over other Linux ones like CentOS and stuff like that. And Linux VPSs are always going to be cheaper than Windows ones, and I just prefer Linux. So with every Linux operating system, the default account, as long as your host allows you to have root access, the username is root, and that has all the privileges. Now that's another thing. You may, depending on what you're using it for, again, you may want to make sure that your host has root, that you're allowed to have root, and it's not just a sub account. So now for the password. Now this is something that I realized when I first did it, and I was kind of freaking out, and I found out later on. I'm typing my password right now, but you might not think I am, and that is because Putty does not show your password. Unlike most, they don't show your password, but they show cover-up letters like asterisks or hashtags or something to cover up your password. Putty doesn't even show your password. So yeah, if you've done it correctly, you should see welcome to and then your documentation for your operating system. Now, if you've done it incorrectly, it should say access denied or something along those lines. So once we've done this, I'm just going to go back to slash. All right, there we go. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys how to install PHP 5, Apache 2, MySQL client, and phpMyAdmin. I'm just showing these things for basic general use. If you guys want specific tutorials later on for how to set up a specific game server and stuff like that, once again, leave a comment below or send me a message, and I'll be able to show you guys how to do that. So how we're going to do this is with Ubuntu, we're going to use a command called apt-get. And this is basically telling it to fetch the package. And then we're going to put apt-get install, then we're going to put PHP 5, Apache 2, MySQL-client, and phpMyAdmin. Now, if you're planning on making a public server where you're going to be broadcasting it to a lot of people, I wouldn't recommend phpMyAdmin. I'm just doing it for the sake of the tutorial. But the reason being is that phpMyAdmin is not protected from brute force and is extremely easy to crack into if you know how to do it. So I'd recommend something else. There are other ones on there. I'll probably make a tutorial on how to replace phpMyAdmin soon. But for now, just for the tutorial sake, I'm going to put phpMyAdmin. Now we're going to hit the enter button and it will read the package list and it'll start building the dependencies. Now once it's done that, a whole bunch of information will come up about the packages. Apache 2 is already on the newest version, so I don't have to, it'll bypass the install of that because it's already, I guess, pre-installed with it. And I'm going to type Y to let it continue. So once I've done this, as you can see, it's doing a whole bunch of information on the packages. It's setting everything up, and you just got to let it run. So this can take a few minutes depending on the speed of your server, the download speed, the upload speed, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be building all these things for you. Now, eventually, when it comes to phpMyAdmin, you're going to see this. And it'll ask you to choose a web server to reconfigure. And what you're going to want to use is you're going to want to use Apache 2, not light TPD. You're going to use Apache 2, and you're going to hit enter. So once it's done that, it's going to start to building the databases, all that kind of stuff. Now, you may not need a database. I'm just showing you guys how to install it. You can remove that line from the app to get install line if you're not planning on using a database. Once again, I just put that in there for the sake of the tutorial. So I'm just going to let this set up. Wow, this is taking quite a bit of time. I didn't think it would take this long. Okay, so now you'll come up with phpMyAdmin package must have a database installed and stuff like that. Now, I made this mistake before. Do not choose no, because if you don't put it in there, it can screw it up a little bit. So let's just choose yes. Okay. Okay, so now that we have that, okay, that's a little interesting. I'm just gonna ignore it for now. If you have that error, you can search it up. I think what I did before and it worked fine is just ignore it. I think it's just my host because it's not the greatest host. It's kind of restricting, but that shouldn't happen for you. It's just because the sockets aren't properly set up. So once all that's done, you should have your root at and then your host name with the hashtag to do more commands. So now I'm just going to, actually, we're done with SSH. So this is all we need to do for SSH. We've installed everything that we want to install. We can go ahead and close PuTTY. Now, another thing you're going to need is called FileZilla. Now, this is an FTP client. Now, this is what we're going to be using to visually create directories, delete directories, create files, delete files, new files, upload files, all that kind of stuff. And it's basically a file browser for your server. Now, if you try to just put a host or FTP, that won't work because, well, at least with my server, we're going to be using SFTP, which is FTP through SSH. So I've already got mine down here, but just for the sake of the tutorial, I'm going to put it in there. So you're going to do SFTP : / and then your IP of your server / username root. Your password will be your password, obviously. Now the port, I'm going to make it, it's 2995. So when we quick connect, which is right here, you should see all of these. Now we're in the / directory, which is the head directory, the main directory of the server. Now you'll find tons of files in here depending on what operating system you're using. Since I'm using Ubuntu, it has bin, boot, all this kind of stuff. Now, I'm just going to explain this a little bit. So all these files are hidden from users. People cannot go into this without FTP access into your server or SSH or anything like that. It can't just be open to the public. Now, if you go to /var and www, now in var www is where all of your public files go. Everything in here can be viewed by the public by doing / after your IP address or your domain, which is why if you have anything anything that has passwords in it and things like that, you don't want to put it in var www because people can see that. So here's our default index page, which is basically that. It works. It's a beautiful little page. You can replace that, but that's the index.html. And to create a directory, you just right click, create a directory. You can create a new file and stuff like that. So let's say you wanted to set up a game server. So you can make a website in www. If you guys want to see how to make a website, I have an HTML tutorial series going, which I haven't uploaded into a while. But say you wanted to make a Minecraft server, you're going to want to make the directory in the root. So let's call it like Minecraft or something. Now, obviously we can't run a Minecraft server yet because one, my server doesn't have enough RAM, and for two, I didn't install Java. You're going to need to install Java on your server if you want to run Java private servers, because obviously it needs Java to run the jar files. But yeah, so that's basically how you set up a VPS. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. If you did, please leave a like below. Comment any questions or comments you had on the video, and subscribe. I'll be bringing you guys more videos. Probably tomorrow I'll probably bring you guys a video, and I'll be back on my regular schedule, sorry. So I'll see you then.